Hi, we're Team 2 from IST 220 at Penn State, and we're here to talk to you about computer networking legislation. I'm Chris, this is Igor, Nuno, Swati, and Kevin, and we're going to go on to talk about computer networking legislation. So we're going to break it up into three different buckets. We're going to look at computer networking legislation overview, where we're going to talk about a global look at computer usage increase, the different global security initiatives around the globe, and the CFAA in the United States. We're then going to look at networking legislation and business. We're going to see what businesses' views are on these networking laws and their different implications to different industries. We're going to look at employee implications and the definition of cybercrime from a corporation's standpoint. Lastly, we're going to look at the latest trends in computer networking legislation in terms of their effects on the cloud computing and privacy and security initiatives.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I'll be talking about computer usage and the network securities that come along with it. As of December 2000, there were reported 361 million internet users. As of now, that number has grown to over 2.5 billion. As you can imagine, there have been a slew of internet security issues along with that growth. For example, countries around the world have taken notice of the increased cyber terrorism and cyber attacks. European nations formed the European Convention of Cybercrime, but lack the backing of superpowers such as the US and China. Many third world countries also lack the extensive security, leaving their government resources and websites vulnerable.
So as Kevin said, the European nations have been starting to do different initiatives to handle these networking problems, but lack the backing of the US. The US is acting under its most prominent networking law and most highly debated, which is the CFAA. It was originally created in 1986 and last amended in 2008. And it was initially developed to cover only government and financial computers, but has now grown to blanket nearly every computing device out there. It has two main problems. It is extremely vague and lacks the ability to adapt with today's changing technologies. It has been deemed the worst law in technology, and as we can see in recent past, that the number of cases being brought to the courts under the CFAA have dramatically increased, and this has been rise for concern with the implications of the CFAA.
Hi, I'm Swati. An example of why the CFAA is dubbed the worst law in technology can be seen in the case of Aaron Swartz. In 2010, Aaron Swartz logged on to MIT's network and downloaded 4 million publicly available academic journals from an archive to which he subscribed to. Swartz was later arrested on counts of fraud and violation of the CFAA. He faced 50 years in prison and a $1 million fine. Unfortunately, Swartz took his own life before facing the consequences. The CFAA's terms such as protected network and unauthorized access are very vague and cost Swartz a great deal of trouble in his case. There's currently a proposed amendment going around called Aaron's Law, which proposes changes to the CFAA that will better society. Another case that exemplifies how inconvenient the CFAA is U.S. versus Neil Scott Kramer. In 2010, Scott Kramer used his cell phone, a Motor Razr V3, to force a minor to engage in sexual activities with him. Other than Kramer's big blunder, the big question in this case was whether or not Kramer's cell phone was considered a computer. Even though his standard flip phone did not have access to the internet and was not a smartphone, his phone was still ruled to be a computer in court because of the CFAA's definition of a computer, which is any device that has the ability to perform storage, logical, or arithmetic functions. Again, if the CFAA was updated, this whole confusion could have been avoided.
Hello, my name's Nuno, and now we're going to talk about how networking legislation relates to the world of business. So in this day and age, it's pretty clear that a large corporation will require a computer network because they would need the database to hold and organize vital information. And what's even more important is that employees have access to this information. But what comes from this is that security breaches could occur. And if such an incident were to take place, the jurisdiction would fall under the CFAA. Companies fear security breaches and bolster their system to prevent such a situation from ever occurring. And as a result, it's pretty clear that large corporations tend to lean more towards being in favor of changes in computer networking laws. But with saying all of this, when a security breach occurs, the legal action taken against it is not very clear. And the reason for this is that the definition given by the SANS Institute InfoSec Reading Room is very vague and doesn't make it very understandable what exactly counts as illegal when a violation in a computer network takes place. With saying all this, however, some companies tend to not favor changes in computer networking laws. And a good example of why this is because if laws were to be updated, large corporations may be required to invest more money into security technology when they could instead be investing that money into other, perhaps more important aspects of their said business. So, in conclusion, it's pretty clear that the fate of hacking and other violations in computer networking lies beyond the business world.
My name is Igor, and I will be talking to you a little bit about latest trends in computer networking, latest legal trends. Apple iCloud faces trademark infringement lawsuit. Cloud computing providers sued for unworkable IT support. Google, Yahoo, others sued over cloud storage patents. What is the cloud? The cloud, in the simplest terms, is storing and accessing your data through the internet instead of using a physical hard drive. This has been one of the latest technological advancements of our time. And as big companies are picking up on the usefulness of this service, they're providing the service to customers just like you and I. With that being said, there are multiple legal issues that arise due to this. One of which is choosing a place of jurisdiction. A customer and the cloud vendor could be in two different countries. In case there's a problem or there's a need for litigation, what country's legal system do you choose to settle the dispute? Another issue is security. Security has always been an issue in networking. Every single company that provides any sort of networking services knows this issue and tries its best to protect from any sort of damages or threats. But there's never a foolproof way to protect the customers. And the last issue is IT support. Do companies have the proper IT support to provide these type of services? And not only that, but do they have the proper IT support to provide mitigation services in case a damage occurs? And that's a little bit about latest legal trends.
So on behalf of Team 2, I'd like to thank you for watching our presentation and to think of any questions you might have for us to ask. Thank you.